AskReddit by proof temporary 6928. What's something that was supposed to be the next big thing but absolutely flopped? Gitch, a phone and a video game system. Too bad you had to remove the battery whenever you wanted to change games. The N-Gage could have been revolutionary tbh, it's basically the early prototype for the PSP and Switch. What really killed it was that it was a bulky Game Boy Advance pretending to be a phone. Hell, even the N95 was a great phone for its time. Edit. Game Boy and Game Gear walked so N-Gage could run. I only brought up GBA because it was a handheld being sold at the same time as the N-Gage, not to discount the previous console history. The Segway. Too fast for the sidewalk, too slow for streets. 3D TVs. 3D movies in general. When the new 3D started becoming a thing like 10 years ago, Popular Mechanics released an article talking about how 3D technology was going to reinvent how we watch TV and movies. At the end of the article there was a notation that said the article was originally printed in an issue of Popular Mechanics around 1983. It was just showing that while technology has become better, it was still too early to suggest it was going to reinvent anything. Someday true 3D will be invented with true eye focus, allowing us to focus on things we want to on the screen like we do actual three-dimensional objects. Until then I don't see 3D becoming the way we consume movies and TV. Even then I think AR/VR is more likely to change how we watch things. Google+. Everyone thought it's gonna be the Facebook killer, now it's just a history. I really like the circles feature of Google+. You could have a friend circle, a family circle, a work circle, whatever you wanted. And then when you posted you chose which circle. Saw the post. Seemed like a really smart way to do a social media platform. I'm surprised no one else has done something similar. Google Glass. I think Glass will have a resurrection as an industrial tool rather than a everyday accessory. The 2.0 version is heavily marketed towards business and having AR overlay would be incredibly helpful in fabrication and QC. Quibi, the streaming service with 5-10 minute long TV shows meant to be watched on mobile. They spent nearly $2 billion, recruited A-list celebrities, were run by a former Disney executive co-founder of DreamWorks, and completely tanked within 6 months. I believe they try to blame their failure on the pandemic, but realistically, this is what happens when a bunch of out-of-touch media executives get too into being data-driven and think they can synergize and scale their way into being cool. I have worked with this particular kind of star FK executive and it was so satisfying and validating to see this stuff fail. Isn't that basically YouTube except all the content would be created by Hollywood executives, I guess? Blackberry without the keyboard. Fell flat on its face. Too bad, was a great Canadian company and a world leader in mobile devices until they got so arrogant they thought they knew what the consumer wanted but didn't. Bye bye BB. I miss the Blackberry era. The way they turned from business professional phones to the hot new thing at my school, BC of BBM. Everyone had one and it was all what's your pin. I would genuinely buy one now for the nostalgia, and BC I'm over having everything available at my fingertips. Severely impacts my productivity. LMAO. Eater. Lana Del Rey has a super old and released song called BBM Baby which always takes me back whenever I hear it. It's super upbeat and fun. https://m.yahoo.com/watch?1btpv02fqam. Amazon's Fire Phone. Amazon Fire Phone sucked. I just bought an Amazon Fire TV and I like it so far. I'm just waiting for the ads to start rolling in on the home screen, though. It was cheap, 4K, and does the job I want it to do. Time will tell. Lol. Modular phones. I can remember reading about how being able to choose and change the different modules based on your phone needs better camera, better speakers act, was gonna kill the iPhone. Kind of a shame really, they sounded pretty cool. The Fairphone 4 is modular but for a pair other than upgrade. Liffy, Wi-Fi that works with light reflections. All reflective surfaces in the house must be eliminated, so safe to assume it wasn't very successful amongst people who use their phone in the toilet. Wi-Fi that works with light reflections? Would you want more reflective surfaces to enable Wi-Fi in more areas of your house? 400 million in funding that evaporated gives it to Theranos. WeWork got billions and was basically office building Airbnb. There was this lady who said laboratory testing could be reduced to a machine the size of a microwave. Turns out it was all a scam. Scary how many high-powered and big-name people fully supported her without ever seeing a working product. Olestra. If you were old enough in the 90s, you remember everyone shitting their pants over it. Literally. May cause anal leakage isn't a warning one wants on a can of Pringles. The Segway human transporter is a legendary version of this, which is kind of ironic because I'm seeing an explosion of small electric transports in my area now. Airbikes and scooters etc are blowing up. It's exactly what Segway envisioned just 20 years later. Honestly, I think part of the reason it failed is because you looked like a complete wanker on one. The scooters that became big in the last few years are much smaller and easier to use. Talia. It was supposed to be this site that, if I remember correctly, would enable you to just have a resume and you could quickly apply to a job and submit a cover letter. Guess HR people got tired of all the resumes that were junk. We have LinkedIn and Indeed Instant Apply, but really, I just wanted a central place to upload my resume to apply for jobs. Really would be great if there was just one format to have a resume in. I do think in the future we'll look back and say remember those shitty job applications where you had to enter all of your past job experience manually. At least I hope. New Coke. The company changed the recipe, and people were so mad that within 3 months they brought back the old one, which is why today it's called Coke Classic. Well, call it New Slurm, and when everyone hates it, well, bring back Slurm Classic and make billions. Apparently all the stocks I bought in early 2022. M. Night Shyamalan was once called the next Spielberg. What a twist. 2012 apocalypse. Did Connie ever win the election? Soon. Still have mine. I actually love that it's a device that doesn't connect to the internet. No ads, no texts, no calls. Just the music I like with no interruptions while I work out. The U2 album automatically downloaded to your phone. I hated that. Killer bees. When I was a kid those things were coming to Cheshire and never got here. The XFL. You're just hat and BC you missed he hate Emmy in his prime. The US going metric. We were taught as kids that we'd be thinking in kg and meters by the time we were adults. Oddly, I moved to Louisville, KY 3 years ago, and there is a small stretch of the freeway where it is in km and has miles next to it in parentheses. Apparently they jumped the gun in the 90s when they said we were going to convert. I believe there are 2 places in the US like that, one along the MX border and then the one here which doesn't even border another country. Spore. I remember the hype before this game came out. How you could build organisms from a single cell up to creating complex civilizations then explore the universe. My roommate at the time, who was a huge gamer, was so excited for it. I think he played it occasionally for about a month before forgetting about it entirely, much like the rest of the world. I felt like I waited my whole life for Spore to come out. Then once it did, I spent some time building shit, then lost interest. Huge letdown. The resurrection of the DCEU. Now we'll get a reset. They're too late to the party at this point. The tide is just starting to turn on all of this. DCEU could reboot perfectly and it still won't land right because the public is finally tiring of this hollow nonsense. It'll be a slow transition to whatever big fad comes next, but it won't be super harass. World War I. It was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Imagine going back in time and telling people about the future. Someone asks you which side will win the Great War, and your response might be the Great War? Oh yeah, in the future this is just the first one. There's an even greater and worse war coming soon. DivX. DivX was a rental format variation on the DVD player in which a customer would buy a DivX disc, similar to a DVD, for approximately $4.50, which was watchable for up to 48 hours from its initial viewing. After this period, the disc could be viewed by paying a continuation fee to play it for 2 more days. Viewers who wanted to watch a disc an unlimited number of times could convert the disc to a DivX silver disc for an additional fee. It lasted for about a year back in the late 1990s before dying, even with the backing of major studios who wanted a piece of the video rental market. Edit. Thanks to those who pointed out the error in my reference to DivX, the unsuccessful rental company, vs DivX, the compression codec. The bullshit thing with DivX was the fact that if you upgraded the rental disc by unlocking it for permanent use, the disc didn't contain any of the DVD special features that were offered if bought in store. So basically you paid DivX the $4 rental plus $19 to unlock just to watch the movie if you wanted to watch it over and over, whereas if you spent the $19 for the DVD at a store you'd get the full DVD with all the features, behind the scene clips, director commentary, etc. Outlier. I actually bought one, and then didn't use it for much because the games released for it were basically just the same ones you could get on your phone. I kept waiting for more developers to pick it up and then it died unceremoniously. Google+. 200 million users, backed by Google, huge amount of publicity and several billion dollars to go poof. Edit. Shit, scrolled right past this already posted. I can proudly say that I was one of the rare few who joined on day one and didn't leave till they shut it down.